Webcasting from Southeast Kansas, I'm Jonathan Switzer, and this is another episode of This Robotech Thing. This week, we are going to talk about the big Robotech news of the week, the big Robotech news of the year. Of course, 2013's barely started, but for all we know, this could wind up being the big Robotech news of the year. But before we start, I'm going to cut to a clip from a show we've taken a look at before, briefly. A clip from Captain Harlock and the Queen of a Thousand Years, Harmony Gold's immediate follow-up to Robotech. A show that nobody ever sees because it was never released on home video. This is a clip that is germane to Robotech, because you're going to recognize the voice actors playing the two characters in these scenes. I've edited this down somewhat to a couple of choice moments, and I'm showing it to you because I found it kind of funny. Not like, big belly laugh funny, but sort of, snickering to myself, shaking my head funny. Here, you'll see what I mean. Watch this.
Alan, meet our new recruit, Christopher Jensen.
What's he have to do with all this, Olivia?
Alan will be your instructor.
My instructor?
It's my job to turn you into a soldier, if I can.
Oh, yeah? Well, if you can make it, I can.
Well, I hope you're right, Christopher. But I have to say, you don't look like a very good prospect at all.
Don't worry about me. I can take it, can't I, Olivia?
We'll find out quick enough. In the meantime, you'll do well to adjust to the fact that I'm in charge of you now, not Olivia. And don't you forget it.
Somehow I have the sneaky suspicion that you don't completely welcome me here.
Alan, I will not tolerate it if you mistreat him.
Don't worry, Olivia. I won't hurt your little pet. But you will receive the exact same discipline as any other recruit, so don't think it's going to be easy. Get that straight right now.
I can see we're gonna be real good friends.
This is your uniform. Put it on. From now on, you'll be expected to wear it at all times.
This looks like some kind of flying suit.
That's what it is. It's a pressure suit for high-altitude flying, and it's designed to withstand strong G-forces as well.
I won't need this. I think there's some misunderstanding about this whole thing. If you think I intended to enter into training as a pilot, I've never flown before, and I don't intend to start.
That's enough out of you, kid.
Ah!
Put it on, and remember, from now on, when I give an order, I expect you to obey it.
I may not want to join you after all.
It's too late to think about that. You know too much.
Yes, sir.
All right, recruit, get the lead out. Come on.
I
don't believe it. They expect me to make a soldier out of this.
I think it could use a few slight alterations, don't you?
That isn't our fault. They didn't design G-suits to be worn by midgets like you, but don't worry, you'll just have to grow into it.
That's very funny, Alan. It would take me 50 years to grow into this uniform.
Never mind. Come on, move it. Well done, soldier. This is the hangar where we keep airplanes. Now, if you'll just follow me, I'll show you what an airplane looks like.
Wow! I've only seen those things in the movies. This is the closest I've ever been to one.
Well, come on.
Golly, is that your plane, Adam?
No, it isn't mine. This one is yours, Christopher.
Not that I don't appreciate it, but I told you I can't fly, so what am I supposed to do with it?
You're gonna learn to fly right now, so climb aboard.
Huh? What?
Oh, boy. I can see right now we'll have to issue you a ladder.
Yes, Tony Oliver and Dan Warren in the student and teacher sort of positions again. I have to assume that was done sort of intentionally by whoever was casting that particular show. For them to do that in the immediate wake of Robotech, and with an airplane no less, had to have been completely intentional. Anyway, enough of this retro silliness. Let's take a look at our big 2013 current Robotech news. Let's run the bumper and get right into it. Okay. Seeing as how you're watching a guy talk about Robotech on the internet, I'm going to kind of assume you've heard this news. On the other hand, if you did miss it, I'm not going to blame you, because Thursday night, one giant piece of sci-fi genre movie news came out, and that was that J.J. Abrams, of the incredibly successful Star Trek reboot, director of the Star Trek movie Into Darkness, which comes out this year, is apparently going to be directing Star Wars Episode 7 after he specifically said, "I'm not going to be directing Star Wars Episode 7 because I'm too big of a Star Wars nerd and I'm afraid I'll break it." So, business as usual. People deny things and then it turns out they're doing things, and, So, there were a swarm of Star Wars lens flare jokes all over the internet. And then, quietly, on the Hollywood Reporter website, it was revealed that Warner Brothers offered the Robotech live-action movie directing gig to a gentleman by the name of Nick Matthew. Now, a lot of places are saying, Nick Matthew is the Robotech director. That is not what was reported. What was reported is he's been offered the job. Now, the question is, who in the heck is Nick Matthew? Nick Matthew is apparently a commercials director. He is a commercials director. He has also been attached to 2 other films. I think both of them at Warner's. So this is a guy they have some faith in, apparently. Now, here, let's actually watch a couple of commercials of Nick Matthews. This is probably the one that got the wheels turning in the heads of the guys at Warner's. Take a look at this, this commercial for Zenith Televisions. So, yeah, he seems comfortable with space stuff. Yeah. Let's watch another commercial. This is a little more artsy, a little more sort of fantasy-oriented. I don't even exactly know what the product is, but it's neat looking. Here, and take a look at this. So, clearly, Matthew has an eye for composition. These are well edited. They're very clear, easy to follow. It's not like this is Michael Bay level nonsense or some such thing. Whether or not the skills on display will translate to a long form narrative, a story being told, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see. He's got a couple of other films in development. Maybe one of those will come out first, and then we can judge then. Or maybe he'll just jump right into Robotech, and that will be his trial by fire. If you want to take a look at more of his commercial work, down here, anonymous content, that's his talent reps. More of his work can be seen at their website. I will also have a link directly to his portfolio in the episode description on YouTube. So, the article about this on the Hollywood Reporter website indicated that the producers started seriously looking for a director in the fall of 2012. And Matthew, they decided, was their guy. I'm curious why suddenly it became imperative to find a director for Robotech. Maybe something else at Warner's wasn't clicking. Maybe they want Robotech to come out in the wake of Pacific Rim. Maybe they think Pacific Rim is going to do well, and they want to have their own sort of Me Too movie to ride its coattails. Maybe that was it. Maybe they're so excited about Pacific Rim, possibly doing well, that they want another thing like that in the hopper. Who knows? Who knows? I sure as heck don't know. I thought this was stalled. I thought this wasn't going to happen anytime soon. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is Pacific Rim. The fact that Pacific Rim is being developed at Warner's, is coming out this year from Warner's. I thought, this is going to be their Japanese-style robot property. The other thing is, at New York Comic-Con, Kevin McKeever indicated that After Love Live Alive is done and out, they're going to get back onto Shadow Rising. It was my understanding that, as a courtesy to Warner's, Harmony Gold stalled production of Shadow Rising. And the feeling always was to me that somebody at Warner's must have sat down and watched Robotech the Shadow Chronicles and gone, oh, that was ragingly mediocre. Oh man, we paid a lot of money for the rights to Robotech here. If they put out another one of those, it's going to devalue the property. We're not going to be able to get as many butts in seats if they're going out and buying another one of these off the shelves and sitting down and watching. Oh man, no, just guys, just don't. Wait until we get a movie out, and when the movie's out and people have decided whether or not they like this in live action, then you can go and do another one of these. So either Harmony Gold didn't know that this was going on, that this sudden need to get a director, this sudden desire to get this project rolling again was going on, or at this point Warner's doesn't care because they figure Harmony Gold, they're not going to get this done anytime soon. We're going to get a live-action movie out before they can possibly get Shadow Rising done. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Now, before this report, before this sudden news of a director, the last time we heard anything about this live-action movie was in 2009, when Tom Rob Smith, the British novelist, was the screenwriter. So the other question becomes, is that the script they're going with? Is that the script they have right now, or has there been another screenwriter since then? Or are they basically saying, we'll get a director, and then we'll deal with the script thing again. We'll get another screenwriter in. Are they going to be working off of Tom Rob Smith's version of Robotech, or are they just going to go, okay, we'll start over. Start over. Because I've been saying this for a while. Robotech shouldn't be that hard a nut to crack. I mean, certainly the Macross saga. The original creators of Macross cracked that nut, decades ago now. I'm not that fond of their results, but it is a reasonable adaptation of the story of Super Dimension Fortress Macross in a 2-hour movie format. Certainly with a couple of decades of hindsight, you can take a look at that and you could tweak it here and there, strip out some of the new elements of that narrative and reverse engineer something that's a little closer to the TV series. So, I mean, the fact that they've gone through a few different screenwriting teams, trying to do this, it does, to my way of thinking, it still boggles the mind. But we don't know what version of the script they're running off of, or if they even have a script. We don't know if the director is really signed or not. All we do know right now, and this is the big takeaway. This is what you should take away from this. All we know right now is that apparently somewhere at Warner's, Robotech has become a priority. And that is interesting news, and to my way of thinking, that's kind of exciting news. Because, if Robotech is a priority, they're going to give it a big push, and who knows what then the future will hold for Robotech. Maybe Carl Macek was right. Maybe the best, in fact, is yet to come. Well, on that hopeful note, let's move on to another installment of RoboJunk Get. I don't even know what I'm gonna be putting in this slot here. I think it's probably gonna be something toyetic. I think I've got a short toyetic thing I can do right here. So let's take a look. Let's see what is in today's box. Alrighty, so the other day we showed off an Invid Shock Trooper that wasn't something that I ordered. It was a complete accident that I wound up with that one. The seller who was selling me an item I was looking for accidentally sent me the Invid Shock Trooper and sent the guy who bought the Invid Shock Trooper the thing I was looking for. So, hopefully, this is the thing I was originally looking for. We're going to find out. Alright, so I think he was really trying to get across the point that this might in fact be fragile. I don't think it's that fragile, but on the other hand, better to be safe than sorry. So, foam. Neat. Foam and, oh, hey, it is one Trotty tactical battle pod. Now, this is the original Matchbox version of the tactical battle pod. Man, look at those colors. Look at these colors. My, oh my. And, man. Yeah, there's some yellowing right here. Like there's some yellowing on the inside of both of the legs. But, oh man, I had never actually seen one of the Matchbox editions before. God, the construction on this is sturdy. And of course, cockpit. There are stickers in the cockpit. The one I was familiar with didn't have stickers in the cockpit. I like the sort of reddish amber on the shield there. Ooh, these are soft, so they're not prone to breakage. These are rather sturdily put in there. There's some yellowing here. There's some yellowing all around, but I really love the very striking blue, vivid colors on this thing. And he gave me a little bag that has one of the main cannons. So we'll put the little main cannon in there. Okay. And then a bag with both of the smaller cannons in. Now, the whole purpose of getting this, I got this for fairly cheap because it's missing one of the big cannons. My whole purpose in getting this, I'm going to move him off to one side, was to get a cannon for this guy. Now, I am really, really interested in the striking differences between these two. Look at, the colors are completely different. This is a little more animation accurate. Now this guy here was actually purchased and filmed for the first RoboJunk get I filmed, which is now lost to the ages. I had one of these. This is a Matchbox. No, this isn't a Matchbox. This is a Playmates tactical battle pod from the Exo-Squad line. You can tell, for one thing, by the distinctive black specks all through the plastic here. There were some weathering effects, some very cheap, easy to do weathering effects done on this. Mind you, the sort of off-whiteness of this, I think, is probably from it not either being exposed to sunlight or being in a non-smoke-free home. But the stickers were also all placed totally incorrectly, so you'll notice the stickers are peeling. That's because I pulled them off with my nails and I reapplied them. My nails weren't this long when I did that, though. I really need to cut my nails. I apologize if you find this kind of gross. I also apologize if you find my sniffling kind of gross, but I've come down with something as well. So yeah, you can tell. I think it was coming from a non-smoke-free home because the white stickers are all a little yellowed. But no, the construction isn't quite on par. Although the one I used to own that I sold off when I moved back to before I moved back to Kansas to raise a little money, for the move, this one was always loose. That's the one thing I like about the new one I got, is it's not loose anymore. One thing I find interesting is you look at the main guns here, and they're completely solid. But the main gun here, on this guy, dang, look, it's actually got a screw in it. It's got a screw holding the two parts together. I find that interesting. Just the feel of the construction of this is completely different. I'm really taken with this. I really am. I just wish I had a better specimen, but all in due time. All in due time. Now, what I'm gonna do, So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take the gun out of the ball joint. I'm going to open up the canopy, and I'm going to unclip. There's 2 clips in there holding the, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of dark in there. There's 2 clips holding each of these guns in place. I'm going to try, I think I'm going to take this off camera for a second. Hold on for one moment. Okay, I've replaced the broken gun with the little soft plastic gun from the Matchbox battle pod. Now I've removed this to show you the, I mean it's the same sort of thing you can see over here. Little clippy guy. Just to make sure, just to give a matched pair, I'm putting, let's see, yeah, those are the greenish ones. This is the gray one. I'm putting both of the same style, the original Matchbox ones onto the Playmates Battle Pod, while the gray is a little bit different. It's more of a gray than a black at the same time. They're small enough that you can't really tell difference except looking at really close. And now this guy, aside from some peeling stickers and some yellowing, is complete. And now what I'm gonna have to do is find, come on, I'm doing it upside down. Nope, it's in place. Nope, it's not. Let's see. Oh, hey, look, the clip's broken. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I broke that. I think I knew that was already broken. I'm gonna have to find another Matchbox pod. And thus begins a nasty, horrible, ridiculous, and hilarious endless cycle where I'm going to be buying broken battle pods and just combining all the parts and making decent battle pods. Which is fine because, hey, battle pods. And because the Matchbox Battle Pod mold is my second favorite Matchbox Robotech large vehicle mold. Can you guess what my first is? Here's a hint. It's from the Robotech generation that has my favorite cast. Okay, I think I'm just going to put that on off camera because it's 2 broken pieces, and it's really not worth it. Answer, of course, is the Matchbox hover tank, which I hope to acquire another specimen of and show off on another Robo Junket. But yeah. I love this mold. I love it. So I'm really happy to have one fully intact specimen, even if it is, Matchbox guns on a Playmates mold, or Matchbox guns on a Playmates production run figure. But hey, it's all in one piece. It's got all its parts. Stickers are peeling a bit, but I can solve that with maybe some dabs of super glue. And I just love that ridiculous, useless joint. It's magnificent. Matchbox and Playmates Tactical Battle Pod. We're going to round out today's show with some illustrative clips from a couple of different contemporaries of Robotech's. A couple of different robot cartoons that were on around the same time in the mid-1980s. And not just other robot cartoons, but other robot cartoons that were made up from multiple Japanese television programs. It was a strange trend in the mid-1980s. I'm curious where it began. To take a couple of different Japanese robot cartoons from a Japanese studio's library, smush them together, dub it over in English, and try and pass it off to the English-speaking world as a single cohesive show. It's a very strange thing to do. And basically, Robotech's competing shows didn't do it quite as well. First up is a show from Saban, the folks who would, about 10 years later, give us the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Saban acquired the rights to a Japanese hero robot show called Go Shogun, and a sort of space adventure show that also had robots in it, albeit sort of clunky, ugly, ungainly robots, called Srungle. I love that name. Srungle. Go Shogun had, sort of three cocky young heroes who flew around in little fighter planes, which would then dock in the big hero robot Go Shogun, and then save the day. Whereas, I don't know, I've watched a few episodes of Srungle, and mostly the main Srungle robot seems to transform into a flying brick and crash into things. There's much more emphasis on the characters, who are sort of a Star Wars-esque motley crew of I don't know if they're a rebellion or what their deal is precisely. I've only ever watched it in raw Japanese. I would love to find the Macron 1 dub of some episode or multiple episodes of Srungle, but I still haven't. So you've got these two completely different kinds of robot cartoons. So how do you combine them? Well, here, the intro to Macron 1 explains how these two shows were combined. It is completely weird, it is completely insane. Take a look at this.
Earth, the year 2525. A teleportation experiment goes wrong, and test pilot David Chance is rocketed through the center of the galaxy. He discovers an alternate universe caught in a life and death struggle against the tyrannical armies of Grip, led by Dark Star and his mighty cyborg Orn. When Chance enters the hole in space, it allows Dark Star and his command ship to enter our universe and gain an oppressive foothold, leaving Orn behind to continue his conquest. Two teams are formed to battle Grip's legions. On Earth, Dr. Chagall and his team battle Dark Star and his henchmen. In the alternate universe, Major Chance leads his rebel band against the evil battalions of Orn. Together they are Macron 1.
Now, it is very telling that outside the United States, Macron 1 was simply an English dub, and a dub in other languages as well, of Go Shogun. much in the same way that Robotech was designed as a way to market Super Dimension Fortress Macross to the English-speaking world and other territories. And it's got those other 2 shows attached to it at the end to pad out the length of the series. Macron 1 was designed to sell Go Shogun around the world. On the other hand, here in the States, in order to satisfy strip syndication requirements, you got 26 episodes of Go Shogun, and then Strungle is a 53-episode show. Even if they didn't air every single episode of Strungle, you still have more episodes of Strungle than you have of Go Shogun. Now, the way these shows were edited together is actually really funny. Here is an example. This is from one of the mainly Go Shogun episodes. But in every Go Shogun episode, there are still clips of Strungle because of this conceit that these are taking place in parallel dimensions. Somehow the characters in the dimension that Strungle's taking place in can communicate with the characters in the dimension that Go Shogun is taking place in, and they can talk to each other over monitor screens. Here we've got the sort of kindly but badass scientist who leads the Go Shogun Macron 1 team, talking to test pilot, whatever chance, the main guy from Strungle, over the monitor screen here. And take a look at this.
Are you still intercepting their transmissions, Major Chance?
Just on and off. Is there some specific information my people should be on the lookout for?
Anything concerning control of urban land?
Right, Doctor. Chance out. You hear that?
Yes, sir. So what do we do now?
Just patrol. See if you can pick up anything on your ship's radios.
Aye, aye.
Some job. Just listen to the radio.
Think you can handle it?
Funny.
Your orders were to destroy anyone asking questions there.
It is an eminently simple solution, gentlemen. Just follow Collins and destroy him, that is all. I'm sure you remember how to do that.
The problem with Macron 1 is that despite being built on what appears to be a reasonable Go Shogun dub, can't speak for the Strungle episodes, still haven't found them, but the Macron 1 dub of Go Shogun seems to be reasonable. But the conceit that ties the 2 shows together is terrible and ridiculous and nonsensical. It doesn't fire up the imagination, it just gives you a headache. It's just bad. And the combination of these 2 shows doesn't work. Just looking at Strungle, you can tell this is a show that was intended for a slightly older audience than Go Shogun was. Go Shogun has this sort of, cocky, heroic attitude about it, whereas Strungle comes off as a stranger, slightly more dour show. The 2 shows have very different color palettes, they have very different design aesthetics. You were never going to be able to convince somebody that these 2 things are the same show. That just doesn't work. Now, our next show has a much easier time of it, because the 2 shows that were selected for this series do have a very similar look to them. They've got very similar design aesthetics on the bad guy side. They got very similar design aesthetics on the good guy side. In fact, the good guy robots in both shows have the same sort of weird cross motif. You know where we're going with this. We're talking about Voltron, Defender of the Universe. Now, most people forget that Voltron was even a combination of two shows. Most people just remember the Lions. But no, there was a vehicle Voltron. I'm in fact watching the original Japanese version of Vehicle Voltron right now. I'm 18 episodes into Die Rugger 15. And unlike Macron 1, where they awkwardly stuck these two shows together at some weird angle, World Events Productions was very clever about the way they set up Voltron Defender of the Universe. They took the good guys in both shows. Our intrepid space explorers in Lion Force Voltron, and the Galaxy Garrison. That's actually what they're called in Die Rugger. The Galaxy Garrison in Die Rugger 15. And they aligned these two sides together. They made the Space Explorers members of the Galaxy Garrison. And then they made King Zarkon of Planet Doom and the Planet Doom royal family and their army part of the Drool Empire. Originally in Die Rugger 15 they were called the Galveston Empire, but in Vehicle Force Voltron they called them the Drool Empire. Now, what follows is a clip showing how these two shows were combined together. It's very similar to, very reminiscent of, the way the Robotech Masters show up in the Macross Saga episode that was titled The Robotech Masters. Here, take a look.
Retreat! Return to Planet Doom!
Sir, I'm afraid I bring you very bad news from Planet Doom.
Ah, Mirak, when have we ever had good news from that planet?
Zarkon has lost.
I feared as much, and he tried to blame his son, Prince Lotor, for all their miserable failures. Well, Zarkon has had his chance, and I now believe it was because of him that Lotor didn't do better. Well, we'll correct that. Have our agents on Planet Doom secure Lotor's release. And when Zarkon returns, tell Lotor he must punish him in any manner that may amuse him. So my know-it-all father has failed. Now it's his turn to face dishonor.
Prince Lotor, we have come to free you.
It's about time, Mogor. I've been expecting you.
Now, one thing I also find interesting about Voltron is that in a much smaller way, Voltron managed to achieve what Harmony Gold had attempted with Robotech a year later. There were 20 American-written episodes of Voltron Defender of the Universe produced. Now, this wasn't anywhere near as ambitious as Robotech 2 The Sentinels. This was just basically 20 more episodes of Go Line. Except that there was some bleed over, there was some carryover from this combination of shows. In the clip I'm about to show you, we actually see some designs and characters from Die Rugger in what is basically an all-new episode of Go Line. Here, take a look at this.
It's too tough for them. I knew it. They're just too young. I gave them a perfect strategy and they're still losing. They'll have to be replaced by older pilots.
It's not them, General. I'm afraid it's you. Let them fight their own way.
Are you saying a bunch of children know better than I?
Yes. General, you've made a grave mistake. Those boys are our finest pilots.
But, sir...
You're relieved of command, General. Let Keith take over.
No, I didn't use anything from Fleet of Doom. You know, Fleet of Doom does use both Go Lion Force Voltron, and Die Wrecker, Vehicle Team Voltron. But it's sort of more of a one-off event story. Whereas, you know, you use this as an example. Yes, you just basically get a one-off general guy in a Die Wrecker style uniform and an old man on a monitor, but I think that better exemplifies the bleed over of Die Wrecker stuff into what is nominally a Go Lion story. It showcases a more regular melding of these two shows. And as for the old guy on the monitor, that was the leader of the Galaxy Garrison from the Die Wrecker TV series. Here he is in the Lion Force Voltron Open. But as you move forward in time from the 1980s to such shows as the 1990s Voltron the Third Dimension and the more recent Voltron Force TV series, the vehicle team stuff just completely fades away. You know, no more Galaxy Garrison, no more Drool Empire. Yes, you know, the Voltron team, you know, Keith, Lance, Hunk, Pidge, and, you know, when he comes into play, Sven, you know, they are all still answering to an authority on Earth, but, you know, you don't really hear the term Galaxy Garrison anymore. You know, they're not wearing the same uniforms. You know, you don't see any of those characters. You know, all of the Die Wrecker stuff fades away. It is as though Voltron was never a combination of two Japanese shows. In the end, it is only the Go Lion, the Lion Force stuff that is remembered. So, Macron 1's combination of shows was its weakness. You know, the two shows were picked badly, and, you know, the actual combination was poor. Voltron doesn't even remember it was a combination of shows. And yet we have Robotech, which, despite the fact that in the remastering of Robotech, you know, they tried to separate the shows out, which was a tragic mistake. A tragic mistake. I have always felt that Robotech derives a strength from the combination of these shows. You know, from taking these three Japanese shows and turning them into a history of a science fiction 21st century. You know, over the course of, you know, depending on who you ask, almost a half century. You know, it draws strength from the gaps in between that open up the imagination, you know, by showing us events after the Macross saga. 15 years after the Macross saga, it opens up the question, what happened to the characters of the Macross saga? You know, certainly, you know, watching Macross, you sort of ask the same question. But by seeing a world after these characters. It demands an answer to that question. And then, even better, you move forward in time some more, and then you start hearing references to Admiral Hunter. And that gets the imagination going even further. What happened in Rick Hunter's life that got him promoted all the way up to Admiral? That goofball. He's an Admiral now. He's a legendary Admiral now. He's a hero to this generation of people. Wow. The way Robotech is constructed, it actually, if you are engaged, if you are interested, if it did hook you, it opens up a world of possibilities that the other combinations of shows completely fails to do. And I think that is where Robotech was a success. Beyond the fact that Robotech was obviously far more successful than Macron 1. And maybe not as successful as Voltron. Maybe not as very well remembered as Voltron. But I think more successful as a combination of shows. But hey, that's just my take on things. Well, that is a show. That wraps up the show. So, if you have any speculation on the Robotech movie, any thoughts on my comparisons here between Robotech and these contemporaries, leave them in the comments. Send me an email. Flag me down on Twitter. Thank you, as always, for watching, and this is Captain JLS, signing off.
What are they doing injecting the clones with anti-pain serum?
Because with the serum they become immune to pain and can stay in battle to the bitter end.
It has come to this?
That is their fate. War is their sacrificial altar. It is the Robotech way.